Okay, welcome to a Taste of Connection workshop. I'm your host, Jamie Prieto. Some people call me James. That works too. And this is an introductory workshop to a 10-week series called Conversational Connection. And what I love about this, what we're going to be doing today is I hope to give you a taste of connection by tapping into a couple of basic concepts of nonviolent communication.
Talking.
And can you hear me? I'm guessing you can hear me. All right, cool. And so I'm James, and then Letitia is also here to help out and pitch in. Just going to give you a little bit of background about my journey in this thing called nonviolent communication. So I discovered it actually 20 years ago when after several life relationships shifted, and also my professional life was shifting. And I had a curiosity as to why my relationships weren't working the way I was hoping. And a friend of mine had just come from a 10-day, 9-day intensive with Marshall Rosenberg, and he was all excited to start his own practice group. And I'm like, well, what's that? And he said, well, we're going to learn ways to communicate with compassion. And we're talking about things like empathy and feelings and all that. And I immediately signed up and decided it was important. And it was kind of a foreign thing for me. It was kind of like a new language. So if I'm honest, the first while, at least the first year, it was kind of confusing because it was like learning a new language. And I realized now, I look in hindsight, that I had to unlearn a lot of the stuff that I had learned growing up. So this really is a journey of learning. And gosh, Letitia, I wonder if you're willing to talk about maybe a little bit of your journey of learning nonviolent communication.
Sure. Hello, everyone. A couple of years ago in the summer of 2020, after George Floyd's murder, I found myself wondering what it was that I could do. What could I honestly do to be a more compassionate presence in the world? And in researching, the kind of techniques that students used in the 60s to train for their protests, their nonviolent protests, I kind of came upon nonviolent communication. And so I read Marshall Rosenberg's book, and I was really amazed by the ideas there, but I realized that I had to find a way to practice. Of course, because of COVID, there was no live practice. And I found James, and I've been studying with him for 2 years. And I can honestly tell you that this technique, what I've learned, this practice has transformed my relationships with everyone that I talk to, because now I have tools. But the relationship that's been most transformed has been the one with myself. So that's my journey so far.
Thank you, Letitia. And it's been such a wonderful journey to kind of walk along together and collaborate and contribute to a world that values justice and encourages people to own their power and to take responsibility for their feelings and needs. And it's so transformative to be in that dialogue together and as a community, right? So like today, we get to co-create something in our own field. And I invite you all to, you'll be paired up into small groups where you get to be honest with each other. And so I invite you to be as authentic as you feel comfortable doing. So a little bit more PowerPoint, and I promise you'll get to actually speak. So what's this nonviolent communication? NVC is the short acronym that a lot of people use. And NVC is a way of focusing our attention, or at least that's how I see it. because it can be seen as a mindfulness practice. Some people see it that way. I know my Buddhist friends say that NVC, nonviolent communication, is kind of a way of putting in their beliefs into practice. So it can be seen as a way of life, or at least that's how I see it. So it's a way of focusing our attention in ways that allow us to create compassionate giving and receiving. And this, of course, was started by Marshall Rosenberg, who founded the Center for Nonviolent Communication. And what I'd like to do now, Letitia, if you can like set up groups of 3 to 4 people, is to share with each other what your ideal world is. And each person in the group will have about a minute. I'll give you a minute to get started, and then a minute to close up. So you'll have about 5 to 6 minutes in a small group. And just share about your ideal world, and maybe I'll give you a sample. So my version of an ideal world is one in which everyone's needs are valued, and that we stay engaged long enough to find out what strategies can serve the most needs in society at the smallest cost. And so that we learn skills to not only treat each other with compassion, but also treat the planet with compassion. And so we're living in harmony with the planet. So that's my short version. Letitia, do you have something that you'd like to share? Like, what's your ideal world?
I guess my ideal world would be one in which everyone feels connected, that all of us recognize that we are, a part of one world, and that no one is left out.
Thank you, Letitia. So you all have about a minute each to do that. Letitia, can you get those groups going? Thank you.
Here we go.
Yeah, welcome back. So I'd love to hear from a couple of people, just 2. How was it for you to check in with someone that you probably just met, and you got to talk about the world that you would like to see? So I know I enjoyed talking to Letitia about my vision for the world, and it was nice to be heard and encouraged and acknowledged. So I'm feeling more energized having shared. So I'd love to hear from 1 or 2 people about how you're feeling after sharing all that. And maybe you didn't have a good time. Maybe it was horrible. Maybe it was like super painful as well. So all that's welcome.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I'm leaving the nonviolent group.
You're leaving this nonviolent stuff.
I identified with the other person in my group, just of like, how do I sit with the discomfort of conflict? And I know I've practiced those tools in partnerships, but I had a conflict with a friend, and I was like, why do I never want to speak to you again? This is insane. You drove me to my vaccine the day after I buried my partner who died from COVID. Why do I want you to never speak to me again? Like, that's me punishing my dad from when I was 5, when you would yell at me in the car. We had to sit in the car and drive for 4 hours quiet because dad was right, everyone's wrong. And then just, that this historic need for justice that's not about there was something that was injustice in the moment, but it's like, a quarter ounce, and I've had 300 pounds of righteousness that's just not appropriate for the conflict. So
you had a chance, Rich, to share that with someone, with your group, and so was it nice to be heard? And
it's good. Yeah, it feels great to be heard, and also have a space where I can unwrap it, and it's not in front of the person I have the charge with, because I'm also, whatever, cosmically triggering their trauma, and so we're both gonna like write some historic trauma by beating each other, and like that's creating a bigger conflict. So I know not to escalate. I just have to figure out where to jettison the flames or the fuel from something that's historic, that's not in this actual conflict.
yeah, hearing some curiosity around maybe growing and learning new tools.
I'm here for that. I'm open.
Excellent. Thank you, Rich. Welcome. I think we have time for one more. Anyone else want to share about their experience of sharing with others, people that you just met?
Hi, James. Hi, this is Marcel. So I think for me, the experience has been quite, I think, interesting in the sense that I'm calling from Madagascar in Africa. I don't know if you know where Madagascar is.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing people talk about the ideal world, which is very similar to mine. So that's the that's the interesting part. I thought it seems that we are all already connected because we seem to be there for the same reason. So and that's quite nice.
Gosh, Marcel, am I hearing you like celebrate our common humanity even on the other side of the planet?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Thank you, Marcel. I'm so glad you're here. Letitia, I wonder if we share the slides on the chat window.
Sure. I believe I've already sent them.
Okay, cool.
So if you click on your chat, you might see there's a PDF there for you.
Yeah, and just a little protocol, since we have, this is an open free workshop, we don't want people coming in right after we've started, so we've locked the Zoom room. And if you happen to be knocked off from your connection, you can email Letitia at this email down here, and she will let you back in from the waiting room. So that's the way to get back in. So just click on the link that you got here originally, and Letitia will let you in. And we just found that it's better to do that, to protecting the flow of the group. And I just want to call out, very briefly, confidentiality, that you're welcome to share your own experience. Don't share other people's experiences. Please don't identify them. Consent, you have the choice of what to share on and the level of depth in which you're going to participate. And also just knowing and acknowledging we are recording the main room for education and marketing. Compassion is, or at least the way I process compassion, is the reminder that as humans, we're doing the best we can to meet our needs in every moment. And the last intention and agreement is around connection. And that's why we practice nonviolent communication. So we're not practicing NVC to get our way and to, sell a product. We're, if we're following the consciousness that Marshall Rosenberg is inviting us into, we're practicing this for connection, for basically a mutual understanding between humans. So, so if you can agree to these intentions for our time together, if you could raise your hand visually or digitally, just to give a sense that we're all in. A visual helps to create a little trust and safety, and thank you to the ones that are raising their hand digitally. And if for whatever reason these intentions don't resonate with you, please speak right now, and it might be that this workshop is not for you. So just wanted to name that. Okay, so enabling live transcription, thank you for that. Right, so we'll go to the next